Welcome to another edition of Cooking with Lily and Generoso. I am Generoso.
I'm Lily.
And we have a wonderful warm dish. Another week of soups, as I know the East Coast is getting beaten down by wintry mix right now, which is very sad, and we don't miss it at all, I'll be honest, but we do know how important it is to have warm food. So today we're going to make a beautiful dish, Zuppe, Cannellini and Arborio. It's super white kidney beans and Arborio rice. Super creamy, super fantastic. I think you're going to love it. And there's a lot of weird components to this, but it's very easy to make from prep until bowl. It's probably going to be about an hour. Let's see what you'll need. You'll need about a box of vegetable broth. This is about 4 cups. Salt, pepper, of course. 1 can of cannellini beans, 15 ounces is fine. We'll need 1 bay leaf, but I didn't take it out of the jar yet, so there we go. A half a head of cabbage, any cabbage is fine. A Barilla roll, which we're going to do things to in a food processor. 4 really good cloves of garlic, fresh rosemary.
2 sprigs.
2 sprigs, thank you. About a 1/4 cup of cashews and 2/3 of a cup of Arborio rice. You're also going to need, of course, some olive oil, a good Cuisinart, and you really do need a food processor for this one because we're going to be grinding up the cashews and the breadcrumbs together. It's a very northern Italian dish in the sense of like it gets very creamy and it's very wonderful. So we're going to do a little bit of prep and we'll be back with the first step of our soup, so stay tuned. So we've done a little bit of prep work thanks to Lily for making the process much quicker. We have minced our garlic. We have plucked the rosemary off the stems, no stems of course, and we've shredded our cabbage into little pieces like this and we've given it a good wash. So now what we're going to do is we've taken our Cuisinart, we've taken a liberty of putting a little bit of olive oil on the bottom of this lovely, lovely sauce pot. Add a little tiny bit more olive oil, probably about 3 tablespoons. And it's nice and warmed up, so we're going to take our Arborio rice. And you're going to cover the bottom in Arborio rice. Now the goal for this is over the next 6 minutes, we're going to keep the flame, which is now on medium-high. And we're going to toast this Arborio rice. We're going to do this for 6 minutes, and then I'll show you the next step where we add the garlic and the rosemary. So stay tuned, we'll be right back. So it has been another 2 minutes. Our garlic and rosemary has been roasting with our Arborio rice. Everything has got a nice brown tinge and the room smells of rosemary and garlic, which is never a bad thing. So we're going to add all of our box of wonderful vegetable stock. That's nice and in there. And then what we're going to do as well is we're going to add another, let's say, 2 cups of just water. And maybe another half a cup for good measure. You also, at this juncture, want to add your white kidney beans.
Cannellini.
Yes. You want to add your cabbage. All while this is still on medium heat. And you want to give this a good stir. And you can see it is very dense in there. If it looks like the Arborio rice and the cabbage is eating up too, feel free to put a little tiny bit more. This is a very flavorful soup. And then at this juncture, just for the sake of taste, I'm going to add about 2 teaspoons of salt and a hefty 2 teaspoons of pepper. It's really going to make your dish completely lovely. So we're going to give this a stir. And we're going to let this cook now for about another 10 minutes so it starts to break down a bit, and then we're going to handle the next part involving the cashews and the Barilla roll. We'll be right back. In 10 minutes, and our soup is at a low simmer. We're now going to come over here and we're going to do the next stage of this, which is the nuts and the bread. So very simply, just take your nuts, put them in the food processor, break up your piece of bread into a few little chunks so it actually fits into your tiny food processor. We got to get a bigger food processor a little. And close it up. And you want to You want to chop this down until it turns into a fine puree. So that'll take a couple of minutes with the little food processor, but we'll go back to show you what it is before we actually go to the next step. So our soup is still on a nice like simmer. And we've taken the liberty of turning this flame on medium, putting a lot of oil in this pan. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna toast up our bread and cashew nut mixture. As you can see, it's been finely ground inside the food processor. So go ahead and put it inside your frying pan. And what we're gonna do over the next 5 or 6 minutes is we're just gonna let the oil cook it until it's nice and crunchy and brown. So we'll be back in just a minute to show you the final product before we put it in, and we'll make ourselves a beautiful soup. So stay tuned. So it's been about 45 minutes. As you can see, some of the cabbage is broken down. The rice is still a little tiny bit firm in the middle, but it's creamy. And as you can see, like without any kind of dairy, the broth has a nice creamy texture to it. So what we're now going to add is our beautiful toasted. And again, this only toasted for about 5 minutes. We've left it on the side. You want to add this just about 5 or 6 minutes before you actually serve it. Let's add that to the beautiful soup. That's a nice. Give it a little bit of a stir. And I'm actually going to, at this juncture, I'm going to take it off the heat. So the heat is off. And let this sit for about 6 or 7 minutes, and we're gonna serve up a bowl and show you what the final product looks like in just a minute. Here we have it, our Zuppe, the Cannellini and Arborio. I've shredded a little bit of romano inside of it as well to give it a little bit of a spike, but what you'll have is the way we've roasted the cashews and the breadcrumbs. It's a really nice husky taste, and it blends with the creaminess. Romano's going to give it a little bit of sharpness, and you have this absolutely wonderful bowl of soup for these cold winter days. So I hope you enjoy the soup. Let us know if you make it. Post a picture or leave a comment on WordPress or on YouTube. Either way, it's great to know when folks are making our recipes. Have a great night. Take care.
Stay warm!